I don't. Did you? I don't know. Like, she's out there. You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JD.
That's when I was smoking my cigars.
Don't be an asshole today.
Hey!
I'm sorry I look like ass.
This is new for me that I'm here first.
I know. And Julia's waiting.
Look beautiful, darling.
Oh, man. Okay, let's let Julia in. We've got transgendered comedian Julia Scotti with us. And
Yes.
you recently saw a show with her.
I did.
She graciously agreed to do our podcast. So, in the spirit of Pride Month, here we go.
Yay!
Your
Excited for this one.
name, Mary.
Hi.
I get a chance to try out my brand new. I bought lights.
Oh,
Because I know you're the first. You're the first people I've tried it on. Let
nice.
me know which. You ready? Wait,
Oh,
there's one on this side too.
Whoa,
nice.
wonderful.
Now you know my secret.
Welcome, Julia.
Love it.
Thank
you for having me.
I'm really excited. JD has been raving about your show that she went to. So and you were here in the UK.
I wasn't in the UK.
Oh no, you weren't. You were in the UK papers.
I was? Oh,
Yeah.
for the film. Oh, for the film.
Yeah.
I thought you meant for Asbury Park.
Oh no. So let's go back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was in the womb. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have to say, I'm very starstruck, Julia. I saw your show at the Boca Black Box. I don't know if you remember. We met. We spoke.
Yes, I remember. Sure.
Yeah, and my sister wanted me to give a shout out to you from her. She was with me that night. She said she chatted with you, but she's the reason we found you, because she said she was vacuuming, she was mopping her floor, and she had the special that you were on. What was the special? It was the Women of Comedy. Was that
funny, more funny women of a certain age. Yeah.
Yeah.
This Showtime on. Yep.
Showtime. And she heard you and she stopped mopping and she said, I have to see who this person is. She was like hysterical, laughing out loud by herself, her and her mop. And she found you and looked you up, and then she came into work and said, we need to go see her. And we found that you were coming to Boca, and I told Denise about it, and that's how it happened. So
thank you.
Says hello.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird night, as I recall, in Boca. There weren't a whole lot of folks there, if I remember right. Yes,
it could be that way in Boca. Could be that way. It was 8 o'clock show. People go to bed.
But you were there, and then your sister was there. That's all that matters, really. And by the way, most people discover me while they're mopping or scrubbing toilets. I get that a lot.
What it's your story is so inspiring, like, can you tell us a little bit about, I mean, obviously you have a knack for finding the humor.
What would you like to know specific? Let's drill down a little bit.
Well, were you doing comedy before you transitioned?
Oh, sure. I started doing stand-up in 1980.
Oh wow!
My very first gig. I was a drummer before, but I was my very first
I
gig.
didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I started in a Chinese restaurant in Paramus, New Jersey, and on the show, it was the very first out of New York comedy show. With the circuit hadn't even been born yet, but on the show, Jackie the Joke Man was from Howard Stern show was the MC. But Jerry Seinfeld was on it. Eddie Murphy was on it. Who else? Gilbert was on it, and there were a couple others on it too, and me. And that's how that's how it started. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And do you keep in touch with any of them?
Oh no.
No.
Once they became famous, it's like
Gone.
yeah. I don't blame. I mean, we were never close. We all know each other,
Yeah.
but it's I only have a few close friends who are comics that I still stay in touch with. So I did that for 20 years, and then I was getting older. I was still married. My kids were growing up, and I wanted to spend more time at home, so I became a teacher, and I taught for 7 years. And I taught. That's when I transitioned, which was in 2000. It was in 1999. I'm sorry, when I
Oh
transitioned.
wow.
Wow. That is amazing. I saw the trailer to your documentary and I want to watch the whole show. Where is that documentary? Where can we find that?
You can get it on Amazon Prime. Somebody told me
Okay.
it's also you can get it. You can get it in most places that but Prime is probably that's the one Susan wants me to.
I'm fascinated that you did this later in life. I mean, so to speak, you weren't old, but you did it later in life. The courage that must have taken, especially in 1999, things were so different. They're hard enough now, but like, how did you find the courage to do that? Because I did hear in the trailer that you had a lot of like kickback from your children, that your children didn't agree with that and they weren't cool with that happening.
Well, there was a 14-year separation with my kids. I didn't see them, talk to them, for
Oh man.
14 years. Yeah, it was awful. Somebody asked me that the other night. We had a screening at a place up in New York State, and somebody asked me a similar question: why didn't I wait till the kids were older? And I said, well, I always told my kids, you have to be true to yourself. And what kind of a hypocrite would I be if I waited? And, it would have hurt no matter when I did it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I said to this person, I said, what if I waited till my kids were grown and they had children? And now, how do you tell grandpa's now going to be grandma? It's just, it's just that. And plus, mentally, I was just really on the verge of, killing myself because I was so sad and so miserable. I just couldn't wait anymore.
What was it like back then medically for you to make that decision and go to do that? Like I'm thinking now it's probably easier to find the doctors and the avenues to do that transition. Like what was it like back then for someone that wanted to transition?
There weren't a whole lot of choices back then in this country. I found I was blessed to have found a gay doctor, first of all, and Dr. Tommy, and he was so sweet. And I went with my ex Kate. She's the one who found them, and I was crying. I couldn't even get the words out. And he just held me. Have you ever had a doctor just hold you?
That's
Compassion.
Wow, that's
amazing.
amazing.
No.
Yeah.
And he said, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. And so you can't get on hormones until you're in therapy for a couple of months. So I found a therapist, and I had to be in therapy for at least a year while I was going through this process. And then you live a year in your new gender. So it was a 2-year, more or less. And then in order to get approved for surgery, which I had done in Montreal, you had to get signed off on by a medical doctor and 2 psychologists, or actually 1 psychiatrist and 1 psychologist. So and it always bothered me because I said, if I were a cisgender woman and I wanted to get new boobs, new ass, new anything, I just go to the doctor and go, put them in there, babe.
Yeah.
But here,
Yeah.
my future was in the hands of total strangers, basically. I mean, I loved my therapist and all, but in fact, I just saw him. I cried over the weekend at the beginning of the month. I was on a float, and he's like, Julia. But I don't know what it's like now. I assume the protocols are similar.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
obviously, there's a lot of political strife and laws
Mhm.
that are trying to be, imposed and whatnot, and it's making it really difficult because it feels like they're trying to set everyone back, whether you're, gay, lesbian, trans, bi, whatever. They're just, trying to erase us and wipe us out, take away our health care, and it's
Well,
brutal.
even within our community, I just found this out recently that gay men are complaining that trans people are taking them from the herd, like we're thinning
Oh,
their herd
geez, oh man.
Really?
because we're
Oh,
recruiting them to be. It's like, why are we always recruiting? I feel
right. Right. It is everywhere. You're right.
crazy. Why? But we're the new. I always say, trans is the new black. We're the minority that.
Yeah, the new target. Yeah, yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And the fact that, here you are at 70, did I get that right?
Well, it just turned 71.
71.
June 1st.
And you are out there and you've got a
I'm
great
out there
comedy
already.
show. You're out there, but you got a
Wow.
great comedy show and you're finding your people.
Yeah.
And you've got this, documentary streaming. I mean, that does, take courage, like JD said. But what I love about it is that you're finding the humor in aging, aside from everything else that you've been through. I mean, I love that you're finding the humor in aging because, you know, I don't I don't know about you, but when my little circle of friends get together, that seems like all we talk about.
I well, my sister died 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago, actually.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
No, thank you, thank you. She's out of pain and misery now, and
Yeah.
I'm happy for her. But I before she died, can I swear on this thing?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
My God, be you, be you.
So we were talking. My sister and I laughed our asses off all through the cancer. It was an 8-month ordeal, and I used to make her laugh a lot. And I said, at one point, we would laugh till we were crying because it was black humor, but it was funny. And I said to her, of course, after you're gone, I'm gonna be putting this in my act. And she said, she's just like that. She goes, "Well, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna be dead anyway." That's my sister, and that's what that's me too. I mean, we just speak the truth, and I talk about our cancer in a way that people who do have cancer can laugh a little, maybe.
Yeah.
And people who know people with cancer can laugh a little too. Especially when you know what the outcome is going to be, and we knew what it was going to be with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, my mom has MS, and she got diagnosed like mid 50s, I think, and had to stop working mid 60s, and it's progressive, so it's getting worse, but we handle it with humor, so if I like call and the phone rings and rings and rings, goes to voicemail, and then I call back and then she answers it and she goes, "Oh, I couldn't get there in time because I can't move that fast," and I'm like, "Stop using your MS as an excuse for everything."
This became the hook to catch the hook in this piece that I do about her. Very early on in the trip, the journey, she would ask me to do stuff, and 9 times out of 10, I would, whatever she asked me to do, I did. But every now and then, I just didn't feel like doing something, and she would just look at me. She was in the car one day, and she asked me to do something. I said, "No, I'm really tired. I want to get back to you." She just looked like, "But I have cancer." Wow. And I just started laughing my ass off, and that became every time she couldn't get her way. That what came in.
Yeah. My
So I
mom.
bring it to the stage now, and she called me one morning and she goes, "Would you go shopping for a casket with me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we wound up I said to her, I said, you know, Costco sells them, which they do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you go on Costco's website. I said they should call it Casco, you know, but well, that's actually where we wound up buying it from Costco. We got a good price. But
Do they have them there or they deliver it? Where are the caskets?
here's how it works. They're not in the store, but you go online, you see the selection. They're very nice looking, you know, the casket, how nice they look. And then you pick one, they send it to when it's time. You have to wait 3 days for delivery, which I thought was hysterical. So we had to put her on ice for 3 days until the casket got to the
Oh,
funeral home. Now they had to drive her in the casket from South Jersey, Tom's River, up to, you're in England, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's to this town of Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is a distance of about, I don't know, 75. It's a 2-hour drive.
Okay.
We're all at the what she called the mausoleum. The mausoleum.
Mausoleum.
The mausoleum. And we're all waiting there because she didn't want a mass, or we didn't do a mass because the priest wanted $500. So we said, you know, so we're waiting for her to show up. The hearse breaks down on the turnpike. They had to call another hearse and switch her out.
Oh my God.
So she was on the New Jersey Turnpike. So here's my sister.
God.
Yeah, on this major thoroughfare, trucks whizzing
Oh,
by.
God.
Right, it happened by Newark Airport, so there's planes landed. And here's my sister sitting on the you know, on the shoulder of the road while they're switching her out. So she was literally late for her own funeral. You know?
Oh,
It would be me. That would so be me. It will be me.
yeah.
But
yeah.
that's it. It's everybody's got that in their family, and so she gave me this wonderful treasure of a bit to, you know, to
Oh,
keep her
God,
memory alive for me, and it's my kind of my eulogy to her. So
That's sweet. That's
oh,
sweet.
that's beautiful. I love the part of your act where you talk about all the medical stuff you went through and everything. After everything she says, she goes, "I know," and because you know, everybody can go, "Oh my God, oh my God."
you know how many people come up to me after a show and just go, "I know."
Has that become like a catchphrase for you? Because
It
that's
inadvertently did. I mean, I do it just naturally, and it just one night it just people started doing it before I got it out. So, uh, so I said, "Oh well, yeah." Oh, well.
that's
Yeah,
like Mary Ann. She said she was mopping and she heard you going, "I know," and she was
I
like,
know.
"Listen,
Oh, is that what happened when she was
that's
mopping?
what happened."
That's
We'll have to get
great.
mugs or T-shirts or something that
But you
says,
know,
"I
that's the thing.
know."
The thing is like that's just proof of how relatable, you know,
Mhm.
these things are. Like, you know, everything, you know, nowadays. It's that's what we look for in comedy is something that we can relate to because we find it funny, but we're never sure if anybody else is going to, you know, if you're bringing it out there, yeah, I'm going to be out there going, I know.
Well, that's the thing that got Lenny Bruce. Not that I'm Lenny Bruce, but that's the thing that got Lenny Bruce in so much trouble was that he was doing that before anybody was doing it. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
Carlin picked up the mantle, and Pryor picked up the mantle, and ran with it. But that you know, to find those things in life, I love stuff like that. You know,
Me too. Me too.
it's
Oh,
gold.
yeah.
It is. It just it makes the comedy so much better. You know, it's just, you know, it's observational stuff
Mhm.
that finally someone's saying that either you think or you just say it with your little group of friends or you know, I mean, like I like I said, like now that we're getting older, I feel like all we talk about is like stuff we can't eat anymore,
Mhm.
you know, like pooping and medicine and doctor's
Oh God,
appointments.
for me, it's like, uh, sex, not I don't know if I did that when you were at the show, but I have this bit about how I just don't want to have sex. It's too much work, just too much work. And I have this thing where you know, the person's on top of me and his teeth fall out and I got, you know, just put it back in.
I don't think you did that. No, I
Yeah. It is, it's just too much work. I can't we just play Scrabble?
Can we just have soft food?
Soft food, yeah,
Something safe.
some tapioca, some custard. Let's go for custard.
Some custard and play a little Scrabble. I mean, really, that's what our nights are winding down to, you know. But it's just great to hear someone
Oh,
else say it.
isn't that true? That's such a
It
great,
is.
that's what I love about everything about you is the courage about you transitioning and then doing what you're doing at your age, because people always think they're too old to chase a dream or to try something different. And my God, you did different like no one else. And I wanted to ask you, how did this affect your career? Because you were headlining before you transitioned. Did it help you after? Did it hurt? How did that
It
work?
didn't. It was, the comedy community is very small. We all know each other pretty much, especially, you know, East Coast comics. We all know each other from the trenches. And I heard when I got out of comedy, because I was out for 10 years, that the rumor about me was that I had lost my mind and had a sex change, and both of which are true to a certain extent. But I didn't like go, I wasn't in a home or anything. I was teaching. I was teaching
Yeah,
in middle
yeah.
school. You know? When I came back, interestingly, there were people who thought I couldn't be funny having gone through this. And so they made people that I had known for 20 years made me audition for their club again. I know, right? But you know what? I'm a trooper. Yeah, you want me to audition? I'll audition.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then came America's Got Talent, and
Yeah.
everything changed.
Yeah.
You know,
Was that the shift that really brought you to the forefront?
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It was, they found me online. I had no interest in doing that show at all. I didn't even watch the show. And they reached out to us. I had a manager at the time, and they said to her, we'd like her to audition. You know, they were going to give me what's called an appointment audition. So it means you don't have to wait online with the sword swallowers and everything else. Oh, you had to see that the audition day was at a college in Queens, and it was like a circus out in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, I believe
people
it.
are juggling babies. They're doing, you know, so I get the show, and when they offered it to, you know, they offered the audition, I said to my manager, I said, I don't want to do a friggin' game show. I don't want to do that show.
A game show.
You know, it is a contest. I mean, for comics especially, it's brutal because you get 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you're a Susan Boyle, for instance, you know what's coming. I mean, she doesn't look like she does what she does as well as she
Right.
does it.
Right.
And so right away, there's a clue. She's going to blow the roof off the place.
Yeah.
You know, you can't tell that with a comic, and you know, and
You
again,
know, and you're up against, like, it's not like other comedians, you know what I mean, where you got to
right.
type 5 minutes or whatever. You know, you're up
Right.
against like cat jugglers. Like, how do you compete with
Yeah,
like
I was the girl who won, a wonderful girl, young girl. She was 12. I played the ukulele, and there was a guy on there. He was like a magic act with Rubik's cubes. I mean, it's like a sideshow, you know. And anyway, I went on there, and it went pretty well. And they, you know, I wanted, and I didn't do the reveal that I was trans until after the set, because I wanted the set to stand on its own, which it did.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they got what they wanted from me. I got what I wanted from them. I got 3 appearances on the show. Each time 12 million people. You can't buy that kind of.
Yeah, that's an audience right there, you know.
Yeah, and so I mean, you know, it's funny because when you get kicked off the show at the end, there's a psychologist off stage waiting for you,
Oh,
because they don't want people jumping off the building when they get
Yeah.
back to the hotel, you know.
Yeah.
And I've been knocking around for 30 years already. It was a young British woman too. All the staff on there, the main staff is British because it's a
Yeah.
British company.
Right.
But she said to me, she goes, well, may I talk to you for a minute? I said, sure, what's up? She goes, I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm the staff psychologist. I just want to make sure that she was right outside backstage. And now the other two losers who got kicked off, they're fucking crying. They're like weeping. Right? And I'm walking off like that. She goes, are you sure you're okay? I stopped her. I said, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a couple of things. I've been doing this for 20 years at that point, 30 years, whatever it was. And it was 30. And I said, I'm from Jersey. Okay. I've been tackled on stage. I have worked in places where they throw drinks at me. This is and I'm telling her this. This is the greatest fucking thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I said, I don't need you. Thanks a lot. Go talk to those people because they look like they're going to jump off the roof when they get back to the hotel. And that was it. And I walked out. I was happy as a clam, man.
It's hilarious, man. That is so funny.
funny.
We have to get you over here.
I would love to come. You know, there's been rumblings about me going over there. I've done a couple of shows, podcasts and over there. I would love it.
Yeah,
I would love it. Get me over there. I'll come. Yeah,
I will. I will actively search for someplace. But I'm telling you, it's what I've noticed. Like I've been here 12 years, and I grew up.
Why?
Because I got married.
Okay.
My wife is Australian and English, and got a great job here. So
Okay,
here.
that's all I needed to know.
So
Huh?
yeah,
What
it's
am I that?
Well, when I saw you were in England, I said, "Oh, well, she's British, so but you're not British."
no, not even a little.
I do a better English accent.
Yeah,
than
you do. You do. I don't even like scones. It's tough.
I need Italian food if I'm going to move someplace.
Yeah, I will say they do it pretty well. I don't want to shit all over England, but
no, you can't. I have a friend who she's a TV writer, but she's what do you call it when you between two she's by
expat?
Country, huh?
Expat?
No,
Or
she doesn't. She lives there.
she has dual citizenship.
I guess. I mean, but she's a TV writer, but she writes over there, and then she comes over here and she writes over here. And
oh, that's fantastic! What a job!
Yeah, she got a nice life. She's there now, actually.
I always worry, about humor translating. Like I hosted like a lot of gigs when I first got here, like on the main stage introducing people, and you got to fill the time a little bit and be a little funny, and I always worried about that, but I realized that I could massacre city names and they loved it. It's just ridiculous. Like what this poor girl was from Walsall near Birmingham and Walsall. And I just couldn't say it right.
Spell it.
WALSALL.
No, it's just like it's like a spell.
But I asked her to write it down for me because I couldn't understand what she was saying, just like you said.
Oh yeah.
So now she writes it down, and I get up there and I go, Faye Bagley from Walsall.
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 That's like a sobriety test almost, or a stroke test.
Oh, yeah,
there are times when I watch movies for with a British kids that I have to put the subtitles on.
Oh, me too. I've been here 12 years. I still do it because there's a lot of different dialects too.
Yes.
Like Newcastle. I went to see a play and Cheryl Cole was starring in it, and I didn't even understand the first 15 minutes. It takes a while for it to sink in.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like start piecing it together. But the first 15
So do you think my comedy would work there?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I do. They love American accents, and if you're American and you have the New York
have an accent.
You're a Jersey girl.
I'll open for Julia. I'll do a little music and open for her, and
Yeah.
America. in the New York Italians. I'm also Italian, Julia.
Yeah.
And you sing and play?
Yes, yeah. I have a band. I'm a singer-songwriter. Yeah.
That's right. You did tell me. You did say that to me. Yes, you did.
Yeah. Not me. I do nothing but this.
Oh, I gotta wait a minute. I gotta plug this.
Stand-up
Speaking of
comedy.
singer-songwriter, I gotta plug my album. Wait a minute. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, wait a minute. I got a whole box of this shit. I gotta get rid of
What
it.
do you what? What do we have here?
First, I'm
So
hearing it.
this is my latest album. It's a download card. And
Oh,
you
awesome.
yeah,
Oh,
I
is
can
that
travel
how you
with
sell
these.
them? I love that.
Yeah, you can I travel. I used to have to bring CDs with me.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
one's great. I throw like 100 of them in my suitcase, and they just download the code and you get the album. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's
It's
like
a cool way to sell music or anything.
Yeah, you can do it for music too. So this is
she's
my
more
second
tech
album.
savvy. She's more tech savvy than we'll ever be.
Oh,
No, no.
I can barely get this podcast up.
right?
They don't have to know that.
Yeah, I know it's true. True. We can look like we're smart.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
what I'm wondering is you got like a certain level of success, you're doing really well. Do you find people gravitating more towards you, like because they're impressed with your story, they like your comedy, but like the people that lost touch over the years, like you said, you were out of it for 10 years, are they back giving you the respect you deserve?
I never know. I always think they glad hand you, and then when I walk out of the room, they go, "She sucked." I have no self-esteem whatsoever. I don't really care. I don't really care because the only person I have to please is me.
Yeah.
And my comedy it pleases me, but I'm not totally satisfied yet. I had this conversation with a musician friend of mine earlier today about artists are never happy with their work, and you're always striving for more, bigger, better, finer, purer, work, whether you're a comedian or an art or a musician.
Mhm.
And so that's all I really care about. I don't care.
That's probably the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like these conversations though are so helpful, for people that are struggling. And I swear to God, and I'm not comparing you in any way, but I remember the first time I watched a couple episodes of Transparent, with Jeffrey Tambor, and when it kind of hurt my heart, and I love that they were, they had
Why
good
did it hurt your heart? What
to see the struggle, to see the struggle.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that was the biggest thing for me. But I love that they were infusing little bits of humor in it, and making it more palatable so more people would watch and understand a little.
Right.
I had to go to a gynecologist not long after I came back from Canada from surgery, and I was having post-op issues. And first of all, I couldn't find a gynecologist that would see me 20 years ago. But I finally found one, and I'm in the exam room, and they're doing the intake. They're asking the questions. So the nurse says to me, "You still get your period?" I go, "No." She goes, "How long has it been?" I go, "Long time, long." I didn't want to tell her why I was there, And then I'll tell you this story because it's actually fun. So the gynecologist, it's a woman. She's examining me, and she's that she's doing her thing, and she's like going, She goes, and her head. Well, I see her head come up, right? She goes, "Yeah, you see that?" She goes, "This is beautiful." I go, "Well, thank you."
And it's got that new car smell.
I did. I went for the Jane Fonda model. I think that the Barbarella model. That's the one I got.
Fonda model.
Yeah. She goes, honest to God, she goes, "If I didn't know, I wouldn't know." I go, "Well, that's encouraging."
That's
That
quite a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've never seen it. I mean, how do you look at it? A mirror, it doesn't.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's really quite the compliment, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because there is a lot of prejudice towards us as sexual beings, on a serious note. A lot of people can't think of trans folks as sexual beings, and
You know,
especially in my age group,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I do
you're
this joke in my
changing
act.
that. You're not like on the cover of Sports Illustrated or anything, but the awareness,
Mhm.
just talking about it and bringing awareness to, you know, to ageism in our community.
Yeah.
That's stuff
Whole
that,
other
again, it's just it's crazy. I just think, I don't know, like I don't know if you find this, lesbians, we're so forgiving, you know.
Well,
Lesbians are
yes
so,
and no. Yes, most of my friends are lesbians, but and I don't mean to disparage that statement, but I have been told by a number of lesbians that they feel like trans men or trans women actually are interlopers, that we're you know
oh,
uh,
oh no,
and
I just meant like we're forgiving as far as like being overweight, you know,
oh, that, yeah,
older,
that's
Right.
fine,
having
Yeah.
gray hair,
yeah, yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. We're like, no, you're beautiful just the way you are all the time, So that's
True. Yeah. Yeah.
a gay man. They don't want
Oh
an
no, very
hourglass. They
unforgiving, yeah.
don't
An
gray hair.
ounce of fat,
Yeah,
nothing. Right. Right.
terrible.
Unless you're in LA, Denise, the LA lesbians are totally different.
Oh, completely,
Sounds like a
completely.
soccer team, doesn't it? The LA Lesbians.
The LA lesbians were brutal when I went in 2009. Me and my fat friend, we were just like, I swear to God, I felt like we were on display. Like people were just like,
I have had several occasions where I've been in a bar and I've met somebody that I would like to, get to know better. And inevitably I have to tell them, because I won't go with somebody that doesn't know, my
sure,
story.
yeah,
I just don't think that's fair. The first time I told this woman, you could see there was a visible change in her countenance, and she just said, "Well, I can't do this. Thank you." It's like I was trying to sell a life insurance. Thank you, but I'm not interested right now.
I don't
Oh,
understand that. I really don't. Like that's the kind of stuff I would love to go, well, all right, okay, but I need to know the logic behind it.
I'll tell you what I think it is. It's politics. It's political.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
find that a lot of lesbians find their identity in their gayness. Okay. And I do this joke in my act that I said, straight men don't want to sleep with me because they still think of me as a man, and that would make them gay. Lesbians don't think of me they think of me as a man, and if they slept with me, that would make them straight. I said, my dilemma is I'm caught between a cock and a hard place. And while it's a funny joke, there's a lot of truth behind it.
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It is very political. Look at Barry Humphries, of all people. Dame Edna, that son of a bitch
yes,
that just
yes,
died.
yes,
Total transphobe.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, here's a guy who made his living,
Right, acting like a woman. And then on the
and
other side of that, you have Eddie Izzard, Paul O'Grady, people that just
Mm.
embraced it, and this is what they want to do. This, and people were so accepting of it. Like when we were talking about all this hate towards drag and everything, and were we talking to the '80s TV ladies about it? I think, Jay, we were saying like what about in MASH, like Jamie Farr's character dressed
Yeah.
as a
Right.
woman to get
Right.
out,
Right.
but nobody had an issue with that.
Did.
Everybody
Yeah.
loved Dame Edna, like the comedy and everything. And like now they have a problem with it because they made it political.
Right.
J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling. Shut the fuck up.
Up. I
Just
know.
shut up. Just
Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah.
You take your billions of dollars, go someplace, and just life is hard enough for us. I
Yes.
don't need her making it
Yeah.
worse.
Especially with her platform, like that's the worst is when, someone with a platform and a following of gazillions, goes in
Yeah.
and spreads that kind of hate.
Well, we have a former president like that.
Yeah, 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 honestly. And that's what I mean by like feeling like we've been set back, like pushed back as a community as a whole. Every letter, has been just pushed back since 2015 after all the good we did in 2013, because my Facebook timeline was showing all the gay marriage, celebrations in 2013. And I'm like, oh, what a time it was, 2013.
Is it
Go
legal there?
backwards.
Is it legal
Yeah.
in England? Yeah, okay.
It is.
And it was legal there way before it was here, right?
Is that
'Cause you
right? Oh, okay.
married, you and Gemma got married before it was legal here, I think, right?
Yeah, but we got married in Canada because
Oh,
it was only civil unions. Civil unions were
Like Vermont, like
right?
it was in Vermont.
And then I think it was a year or two later that it became, gay marriage became legal here. So they did have civil unions as a gateway, and then it had to go all through Parliament and the Commons and all that kind of stuff. But then it did get, because I had friends that were staunch advocates that were out there, pushing for it and speaking at Parliament for it and everything. And I think it was, I want to say 2014 or 2015 that it became legal. But my wife and I had to get married in Canada because that was the only place we could find where all we needed was our passports. Because she was
Okay.
Australian, didn't have a driver's license, so I could have whisked her away to Vermont.
Are you Canadian? Are you Canadian by
No,
birth? Oh,
no. I mean, I lived in Niagara Falls, but on the New York side.
Mhm.
It was fortunate that we were able to get married in Ontario, which was right over the border.
right.
I was still able to have my mom come. We still had a reception in Niagara Falls, New York,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was strictly the logistics were that was the one place that we both had the right identification to be able to do that. So yeah, her not having a driver's license or a social security number because she was Australian made it, hard to find any place in the state. Couldn't
Yeah.
find anything. So
Yeah.
Canada was the closest, fastest, easiest.
It's recognized in England. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was how I ended up getting a marriage visa to be able to move here. Which is
So are you a citizen now? Or are you a?
I have indefinite leave to remain, but I did have
That's
to
good.
take the British citizenship test.
Oh,
Wow.
right.
And let me
You
tell you
did.
something.
What was they ask you? Like, whose side were you on in the revolution?
They were asking stupid stuff like what percentage of England is made up with Hindu people? What percentage is made up of Pakistani? Who is allowed to ride the bus for free? Is it NHS worker, college students? Like they were multiple choice, but I mean, they were so hard. And
I'm going to go with college students
it was
and
NHS workers, yeah. But I'll tell you what, not one of my dumbass British friends knew any answers.
I bet.
And I
Nobody.
had to go take this test.
It's like asking an American to find, a state on the map.
Oh, yeah.
They can't find it. They can't find. They can't even find what the state they live in.
I know. Or ask them about the legislation, like the
Right.
laws and no. But they all know politics enough to spew their hate.
Oh,
you know?
sure, and
So-
stick a flag in the back of their car.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
It's just, I feel like, it's we live day to day, with our fears and our, having to be situationally aware of what's going on all the time and all that. But, we're still doing it, like I don't like they don't get that we're still gonna do it. We're still gonna be here, whether we have a big grand platform or we, work at Subway, we're still here.
They don't
Right.
get, and I've had this discussion a million times, that we've been around since the beginning, and by we I mean trans folks.
Yeah.
You can find us on cave painting, in certain cultures we're considered wise people. Native American culture.
Native Americans, yes.
Hindus, same thing. Hindi, but they're so wrapped up in their hatred and they're
Yeah.
always. Do you ever notice they're always angry?
Yeah.
You go to a gay pride parade, everybody's friggin' happy. And, hey.
Yeah.
You go to one of those rallies, and they all want, they want to kill you.
They're awful. I know.
Yeah, they are
It's
awful.
all
But
spurned by being ignorant. It's what they don't understand scares them, and their fear causes them to be angry. And it's
I
ridiculous.
pointed out that this thing on Saturday night, we had a screening of the movie, and I do a Q&A after the screening, and one of the questions was, I don't know, I forget but the answer I gave her was that we are in this country very reminiscent of the early days of Nazism. We're seeing the same. You pick a group of people and you marginalize them, and you make them the enemy, and they're to blame for everything.
Yeah.
And that's especially trans people. You're seeing that more and more and more in this country. And I said to this woman, I said, listen, I don't know how this is going to end, but if they're gonna take me off to a concentration camp, they're gonna have to kill me to get me there, because I'm gonna fight like hell before they get me in there.
Yeah.
It's
After what you have to go through as a trans person, of course you're gonna fight harder, you're gonna be louder, you're gonna be stronger. Like, I think that's part of it that they don't get, is like, what are you gonna do to us that we haven't already, like, heard or said to ourselves, or like, it's terrible.
Courage it already took to do what you did. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna back down now.
well, they don't think of it that way. They don't see it that way.
No,
they
not at
see
all,
it
because
as,
they don't understand. Yeah.
well, they see me as a pervert and
Child groomer. Yeah.
I was in your state, JD, a couple of years ago, and I was in where was it? Jacksonville. Right?
Mhm. Oh, that's real South. Not down.
Hillbilly. Hillbilly. Yeah.
Well, I did the show, and it was a good show. And the next morning, I'm in the hotel, having breakfast, and this, very nice older black woman comes up to me. She goes, "I was at your show last night," and I said to her, I said, "Oh, I hope you had a good time." She goes, "No, I'm a pastor, and my husband, the bishop, we both got up and left." I said, "Oh, why?" I knew the answer already. But she started to tell me that I was an abomination and my lifestyle was
Oh
an
my God.
abomination. And I said to her, and so in my head, I go, all right, I got to think on her level. I said, what would Jesus do?
Right.
I said, why don't we have breakfast? Why don't you sit down and have a cup of coffee with me? So she did. And we wound up sitting for an hour, and at one point I said to her, I go, what amazes me about you? Two things. First of all, you purport to know what God's thinking. And if you knew what God's thinking, what would he be thinking about slavery? Did he give a seal of approval on that one? And I go, for somebody that came from such a historical background, how in the hell could you hate any group at this point?
Yeah.
How can you? You're the abomination, in my opinion. So she didn't like that.
She answered that question?
She make you pay for the coffee?
Well, we parted peacefully, amicably, and I said, well, we agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I said, I don't believe in your God. I did tell her that. I said, I don't believe in your God. I can't imagine any God would do that to anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's true. Yeah. It's like that whole, like all these politicians, that stand behind their conservative Christian values and their backgrounds, and they're the ones that are getting sent off, for kiddie porn, and
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, honey, quick, hide the little boy in the closet again. We got company.
It's ridiculous, I mean, I can't believe that we had a president that was like, married to the woman that he cheated on a mistress with, that he cheated on his first wife with. It's layered.
Girl!
It's layered.
Oh
but
my God!
It is the fact that we can sit here, have a conversation about it, have a couple of laughs at what a bunch of ding dongs they are, and that's, I think, the thing that it's part of the fabric that keeps us all together.
But they're ding dongs with power, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's obviously that's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
It's just that we rise above it, and we find the humor in the darkest times, And in that, I think makes us like, I saw something that it was a quote and it said, someone told me your trauma's made you stronger. And I said, nope, it's been my humor about that trauma, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's a fact that, you know, that really basically the only truth tellers left are the comedians.
It's
We're the only ones that basically have license to you know, talk about that stuff. And even we're even being censored now. You know, you can't criticize what's his name. Um, you know, everybody's finding their own camp
yeah.
and they're gravitating. That's not the way. I'm old enough to remember people like Mort Saul and people like Lenny Bruce
And Lenny Bruce, yeah.
and Lenny Bruce who could do political humor. It was cool, you know.
Mhm.
Not like that anymore.
No.
I hope it's not a permanent situation.
It's so true. Today, today I was scrolling through Twitter, doing what I usually call my doom scrolling on Twitter.
I got off it,
Uh,
by the way.
I don't blame you.
I
I
still
can't,
have the account, but I don't go on.
I
Yeah, I
can't.
don't either. I never look
What,
at it.
do you know what was filling my feed was a video of
Doing what?
Roseanne Barr talking about that there was no Holocaust and that
Oh boy.
6 million Jews should die. Like,
She's Jewish, isn't she?
yes, yes.
Now she's saying that? That's
Yeah,
now?
yeah, it was last night, and the video like surfaced this morning, and the fact that the host, it was just the two of them, and it was like,
What was it? What was this on that she was?
I don't even know the name of the show or anything because all I kept seeing was the same clip, and I like again the host, no pushback, nothing, and then and so now I got to like delve into the comments and see what other people are saying.
Wow.
And there's people defending her by saying that's just her humor. She's being sarcastic. She's Jewish. She can say those things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a lesbian, but I don't really like it when someone calls me a dyke or, you know what I mean? Unless it's another lesbian. Like if Leah Delaria wants to call me a dyke, I'm fine with that.
Oh, yeah.
But like I was just like, how
She was Jewish, but that's kind of weird for somebody to say that.
it was so like unbelievable. Like, and then there was like, she's a Nazi, she's always been a Nazi, she's a Trump supporting Nazi, and I'm like, oh my God, like it was just all over my Twitter feed, and I was like,
Yeah, I know people who wrote on that show. She was always a little.
off, right?
A little out of her mind now. Yeah. Any of her stuff is out there. If you see the video she was making during the quarantine, like when she was just home doing things, it was way out there. Like who is that?
Some people get. I have a cousin like that. I mean, some people just go nuts. You know, you don't see them for a while, and you see them, and they
right.
What
You're
the
like,
hell happened to you? Yeah.
Oh, you were studying it up on Nazis while you were gone.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Well,
I think the thing of it is like I do feel like people that have kind of fallen off the radar will come back and they see the kind of success that Trump has had with his dumb statements and blanket lies, and they go, you know what? If I say something super outrageous, it's going to pick up fuel, and I'm going to be relevant again. And it's such a cheap, lazy way to get a headline. I hate it. I just hate it. But
well, he's only relevant. I think that's a giving him a lot of credit saying relevant, but he's only in the news because he's going to jail.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
That's the only reason he's getting press. I mean, he's going to friggin' jail, and he should for the rest of his stupid life.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I just like, it's not fathomable to me that someone that stupid became president and that stupid people voted for him.
But that goes back to my Nazi analogy. That's not fathomable that Adolf Hitler rose to power and killed 6 million people. It's not fathomable, but it happened.
It happened.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like, again, I feel like because we're out there and we're doing our thing and we're loud and proud and we're here and we're queer and all that kind of stuff, like that's what drives me. Like that's what makes me feel like I can be louder than the hate that surrounds me, and
I was at the Pride Parade in Asbury. I was on a float. It was really fun. The first time on a float, it was great. But we turned the corner onto Cookman Avenue where the parade route is. And there on the corner was a Jesus guy he had a megaphone and he was screaming something into it. And and you couldn't hear him because everybody was just drowning him out.
Louder.
We were louder than him, and he was all by himself.
I was
Now,
just
I've been to
one guy in
the
the
pride parades
microphone.
before where there were contingents of them,
Yeah.
and they little by little, they're just diminishing,
Well, that's what, like when we had the Pride Fest here, we've talked about that many times, that there was this rumors that they were going to have people protesting, and it didn't happen. And it was a great time, and we had fun, and I performed, and we were there as the Rainbow Remix. It was just a great, fun, really nice day. Good
Yeah.
weather.
I'm so mad. Like I kicked myself because it gave me pause, and I actually considered not going. And then when I couldn't find anything, I really researched.
You mean this year? This year?
Yeah, this year,
Yeah.
just in March.
Well, yes, in March, yeah. They
Yeah.
have it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
Oh,
nothing.
hi, honey. You can't, not right now, please, sweetheart.
My cat just like rolled over and yawned.
She just woke up. She's been outside all afternoon sleeping.
Oh,
I have a question on a different note.
Yeah.
About going back to your documentary. You had mentioned that when you first started, you were married and you had your children and you wanted to be the mother, and you were wondering, am I gay? Like you were wondering like what was going on. And then when you transitioned, you wanted to be with women. Then did you ever think about staying with your wife? Did that ever, like, you didn't want to be with men even though you didn't want to be gay, right? Is that why you didn't
Well,
feel
no,
like-
I didn't want to stay with my wife because I can't. Let's just say I didn't want to stay with my wife. But there she is. This is Katie, by the way.
I need that to run
She's
around.
deaf. She can't hear. She's deaf as a doorknob.
that's awesome.
A lot of people get confused between gender identity and sexual identity. Generally, your sexual identity doesn't change when you transition. I've always. It's interesting because when I was living with the other tribe, I found myself always attracted to lesbians, even though I didn't know they were lesbians. I would find out later when they were outed or they came out of the closet or whatever. I go, oh, well, that explains. Like Lily Tomlin's a perfect example. Back in the '60s, during Laughing, everybody was going gaga over Goldie Hawn or Judy Carn. I'm like, no, I think Lily Tomlin is. and it never occurred to me that she was gay. Miss Jane Hathaway on the Beverly Hills.
Right.
Yeah.
I always, even when I was a little kid, she was on a show called Bob Cummings Show, and I went, she's pretty, she's kind of. So I mean, it's always there. But I think whatever happened to me in utero, it must have been a, I don't know, some great battle that I wound up the way, because they find now that trans people, they believe it happens in utero. They believe there's a hormonal event that doesn't happen on time, or it doesn't happen at all,
Right.
and wind up with people like me. They don't know. Nobody really knows. They do know it's biological and not not psychological.
Learned. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe that, like, no matter when in your life you figure it out, you generally feel uncomfortable, right, in your own.
I always felt like something
Yeah.
was wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, I never felt right, which is why I thought, oh, maybe I'm gay. I must be gay. It's the only explanation.
Right.
And then I venture forth and maybe be with a man and then throw up afterwards. And I'm like, what? Okay, guys.
Can't be
they're not
right.
throwing up. Yeah, they seem relatively happy. They're not throwing up.
That's why I asked, because I know of a couple that were two women, and then one of the women transitioned into a man, but they stayed together, and now they're together, and people just think they're a hetero couple, but yeah, straight couple.
Yeah.
But and then there was a movie. I'm sure you saw the movie Normal when
Yes,
they
I did see
stayed
the
together
movie.
after he transitioned. So I was just wondering in your case, like how that was.
No,
That's
But
too
there
no.
are
neat
other
an ending,
reasons. I
isn't it?
get
That's too neat an ending.
totally get that. I get the reason. That's, I totally get why you wouldn't want to, but
My
um,
my wife Kate, the last time I was married 2.5 times. The last one was annulled, so I call it a half marriage. But she was the woman I wanted to stay with. I loved her. If you watch the movie, there's an interview with her on the phone, and I love her still. And if she wanted to ever get back together, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's been
Oh,
20
sweet.
years.
Yeah.
So I mean, love transcends sex and gender.
absolutely.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
it's a spiritual thing.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I believe that. I believe that.
And
And I
Julia,
can't wait to see the movie.
one of the questions I wanted to ask here, and then we'll wrap things up here. We're keeping you way longer than I anticipated. Um, what do you have a relationship with your children now?
I yes, it's different than it would be if none of this ever happened.
Yeah.
I'm closer to my son than I am to my daughter. Um, it is the way it is. I hate using that expression, but
Yeah.
I'm happy for what I have.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
better than nothing.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's better than nothing, obviously. That's cool. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and having this discussion with us. And it's been a blast. And I really hope that you get across the pond, because I will
Yeah.
be the first in line for tickets.
Well, thank you. We'll make it happen. I mean,
Yeah.
Work on that for you.
I would love to come over. We have made some inquiries into some clubs in England and in in Amsterdam and in someplace else. I forget where. France. There was also an English speaking club there, and it's so hard with all the paperwork and the work rules and all the other bullshit that you have to go through.
Yeah, yeah, we make it simple. We just go, if you get yourself here, I'll find a venue where we'll stick you
Yeah, but
in.
don't you need work permits and all? Don't you need?
I'm not sure for a couple of nights here and there. I don't know. I think it's if it's
Yeah.
a long-term thing or a tour, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, make it happen. Damn it, I'd love to come over.
We'll figure something out. That'd be
Quick.
great.
Okay.
That'd be fantastic. In the meantime, there's always Boca.
Always
We'll always
Boca.
have Boca. We'll always have Boca.
Open for you in Boca too, and then we'll take it over to England.
I actually, if you see the poster behind me, that yellow one, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's the Funny Women of a Certain Age show.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
we took that to not Boca, but right near Boca. I can't remember the name. But yeah, we've been down to Florida with it a couple of times. We did a tour of that.
That would be, yeah, I could see where that would be a hit.
That cat clock behind you, I used to have one growing up. We had one in
Oh.
our kitchen.
That was
Yeah, we had that clock in our kitchen.
my sister gave me that because I a few years ago, she we were talking with my Aunt Rosie had one when we were
Mhm.
kids. And
Mhm.
sometimes I wonder if I was like a little bit on the spectrum because I used to just sit there and watch it all day, and it just so she got me one for one Christmas.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, she also got me. If you see I don't know if you can see the picture below it, the apartment building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the building we grew up in
Oh,
Fairview,
how
New Jersey.
cool.
Picture to have.
It looks exactly, well, not exactly the same, but close to the way it looked when we lived there. And it was
Where
a
was
poor
that?
neighborhood, huh?
Where did you grow up? Where was that?
Fairview, New Jersey, and up near New York City, right across the river, on
Oh,
the river
nice.
Rat. So I look at it, it reminds me where I came from, and it reminds me never to get too full of myself. It reminds me of just,
Keeps you grounded. Yeah.
keeps me grounded, and it's really the only home I've ever really known, and I every now and then I drive up there, and I just walk around the neighborhood, and everything comes back to me. So
That's sweet. That's sweet.
yeah. So and above
It's
that big picture of Gene Shepard, the
uh-huh.
writer who wrote the movie The Christmas Story, to Shoot
Oh,
Your Eye Out.
God, yeah.
He was a
yeah.
huge influence on me as a kid, as a writer. He wrote several books, and I discovered him at about age 11, 12, somewhere around there.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so everything up on that wall, you see Mel and Carl Reiner
Yeah.
behind me,
Yes.
Sid Caesar over there, Kevin Meaney. So,
Oh God, yeah. That's a blast from the past.
well, Kevin was a good friend, and we were touring together when he died, and so I miss him.
Oh.
I miss him all the time, but I have his picture.
I feel like one day I'm gonna turn on Netflix. I'm gonna see you driving around with Jerry Seinfeld and comedians having coffee in cars.
Well,
Yeah.
indirectly, I have, and I'll tell you why. Because, do you remember I told you about the Chinese restaurant, the very
Mhm.
first show? Okay,
Mhm.
so the Jackie Martling, Jackie the joke man, was he was the MC, so he wrote down let me move this down so you can see me do my impression of writing. Okay, and he wrote down the lineup, and he kept the paper all these years later. And he sent it to me because you got to see this, and it was all those names on there. So when Eddie wound up doing Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Jerry had the paper with the copy of the original lineup, and there was my name on, but my original name, my birth name, was on there. So it wasn't Scotty, And so indirectly, I had been on Comedians.
Oh. Close enough for now.
Yeah, close enough. That works. That's
You're an
fantastic.
absolute inspiration, Julia. I really enjoyed speaking with you, meeting
Well, I
you.
did too. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you
I'm
very
like,
much.
yeah, thank you so much for spending an hour with us. That's crazy.
Oh my God, has it been an hour? Please look at this.
Usually people are squirming after 30
You
minutes.
know who I am? Ah.
So, I think this is a fantastic cap off to our Pride Month too. So that's,
Yes.
thank you again for that. That's
Well,
amazing.
thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
so
so much.
much.
Keep fighting the good fight,
You too.
I
Take
love you
care.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Why do you always run back to
Like, never stop chasing your dreams.
the lover you
Erica, see?
addicted
See?
to her touch?
We drank way
That's
too
true.
much whiskey.
And I confess, my addiction is you. Don't ask me why I'm here tonight. I had to take this midnight drive to find you. And as I come in through the door, I see her dancing on the floor beside you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. You look at me and in my eyes you see the hurt I can't disguise. I watch you, and though it seems I look right through, I'm noticing your every move. She's got you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. You're my addiction. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. I turn away to mask the pain, but jealousy reveals my rage.